Hey guys, have you ever wanted something more for yourself? More time, more space, a different direction, and then immediately felt the need to explain why you wanted it? Or maybe you made a decision, set a standard, or spoke up, only to wonder whether you were being selfish, difficult, or simply too much? I think many of us Gen X women have spent years living by invisible rules about what we were allowed to say, want, become, or take up space for. But at this stage of life, those rules deserve a closer look. In today's video, I'm sharing 5 permissions every Gen X woman is allowed to claim. Not because someone else finally approved of them, but because now you have the wisdom and self-awareness to decide what belongs in your life. We Gen X women were programmed early in life with a lot of unspoken rules. And if we followed them, everything was supposed to turn out great. And in many ways it did. But the programming never really gave us permission for what comes next. The rules got us here, but now what? Let's talk about what Gen X women are finally allowed to do. We're talking about saying no, about outgrowing people we love, about grieving the disappointments that never got their proper moment, about stopping the exhausting work of explaining ourselves to people who were never actually trying to understand, and about reinvention, not as a concept, but as something we are allowed to step into right now. I'm going to share what those permissions look like in practice. So stay with me to the end, because by the time we're finished, you may realize that you've been waiting far too long for someone to say these things out loud. Let's get into it. Hi, I'm Cathy Bracken, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. I appreciate each and every one of you taking time out to drop by and hang out with me for a bit. Don't forget to subscribe, tap the notification bell, and give the video a thumbs up. Your support this way allows me to continue creating my unique brand of self-improvement content aimed at educating, empowering, and inspiring positive transformation in you, the viewer. Now, before we get into the permissions, there is a free 2-part resource in one called the Gen X Woman Identity and Legacy Bundle. It includes the Gen X Identity Audit and the Next Chapter worksheet. It was designed to help you take everything from this series and apply it to your own life. You'll find the link in the description below. Now, to make this topic super practical, I'm going to walk through 5 specific permissions that I believe Gen X women are overdue for. These are not abstract concepts, they are practical, and each one is something our generation has been quietly waiting for someone to say out loud. Now let's begin. Permission number 1, you are allowed to say no and let people be disappointed. We have to learn not to soften it, not to follow it with 3 paragraphs of explanation, and not to rearrange our own needs to make others more comfortable. Just know. And then if there's disappointment, just let it exist in the other person without rushing in to manage it. Gen X women are extraordinarily good at absorbing other people's emotional discomfort. We were trained for it. When someone is disappointed in us, we feel it as failure, and we immediately shift into repair mode. We offer alternatives. We apologize. We adjust our no into a temporary yes. Anything to resolve the tension that we didn't actually create. Someone else's disappointment in our boundary is not evidence that our boundary is wrong. It is evidence that they preferred a version of you that had none. You are allowed to say no. You are allowed to say it once and once only, and you are allowed to let it stand. Permission number 2, you are allowed to outgrow people you love. This one is quiet and heavy, and most Gen X women carry it alone because it doesn't feel like something we're ever allowed to say out loud. You love your oldest friend, you love members of your own family, and you have also grown in ways that they have not, will not, and are not ready to. And the gap between who you are becoming and who they need you to remain has started to cost you something real. Outgrowing someone is not betrayal, it is not abandonment, and it doesn't require an announcement or a confrontation. What it requires is the honesty to stop pretending that the fit is the same as it used to be. Some relationships evolve with you and some do not. You are allowed to know the difference and to act accordingly with love and without guilt. Permission number 3, you are allowed to grieve what didn't happen without skipping straight to gratitude. We're talking about the marriage that ended before it should have, or the marriage that never came, the career that got derailed by everything life asked of you first, the version of your story that you planned carefully held onto quietly, and then watched not materialize. That grief is real. And for most Gen X women, it has never fully been honored because we were told, often by well-meaning people, to focus on what we have, to be grateful, to move forward. Grief and gratitude are not opposites. They can and often do exist in the same heart at the same time. But you can't access genuine gratitude by suppressing genuine loss. When you allow yourself to grieve what didn't happen, you are not being negative. You are being honest. And that honesty is what clears the space for something real to grow. You are allowed to grieve, all of it, without a timeline and without an audience and without anyone telling you that you should get over it. Permission 4. You are allowed to stop explaining yourself to people who go out of their way to misunderstand you. This one requires some careful naming because it's subtle and it's more common than people may realize. There are people in our lives, and often they're the people we're closest to, who respond to our choices not with genuine curiosity, but with manufactured confusion. Every decision becomes a problem to be solved. Every explanation is met with another question, another challenge, another reason why you haven't quite made yourself clear. You rearrange the logic. You genuinely believe that if you can just explain it the right way, they will finally understand. And here's what I want you to consider. What if the confusion is not accidental? What if it's the strategy? Chronic misunderstanding, the kind that persists no matter how clearly you communicate, is often not about comprehension. It's about control. Keeping you explaining keeps you seeking their approval. It keeps you in a posture of justification. It keeps you working for an understanding that was never actually on offer. You are not obligated to perform clarity for an audience that has already decided to be confused. You explained yourself. Once is enough. You are allowed to stop. And permission 5, you are allowed to reinvent yourself right now. Not someday, not once the kids are fully settled or the finances are exactly right or the timing finally makes sense. Now. And it doesn't require burning anything down. What it requires is a willingness to take everything that you've built, everything that you've learned, and point it in the direction that finally serves who you actually are right now, not who you were 20 years ago. The wisdom is already there. The self-knowledge is already there. The courage, even if it doesn't always feel like it, is already there. You are not beginning at zero. You are beginning at everything you've survived, learned, and carried. That is not a disadvantage. That is the most powerful starting point there is. In video 6, we're going to take everything you just gave yourself permission for and talk about how to actually claim it. Specifically, we're going to look at reinvention, not as a concept, but as a skill that, as it turns out, you've been building your entire life. Now, here's the truth about permission, and here's what all 5 of these have in common. None of them require anyone else's agreement. None of them require an explanation, a vote, or a consensus. They are not requests. They are not negotiations. They are decisions made by you, for you, based on who you actually are at this stage of your life. The script you were handed at the beginning of your adult life was written by people who had not yet seen what you were capable of. It was written for a younger version of you in an earlier chapter before you'd done any of the things you've done since. Now, you've done the work. You've paid the cost. You always did what had to be done. And now, right now, you are allowed to think, feel, and choose differently on your own terms. That is not selfishness. That is what granting yourself permission looks like. Now, I want to hear from you. Which of these 5 permissions is the one you've been waiting the longest for someone to say out loud? Drop it in the comments. Now, don't forget to subscribe, tap that notification bell, give the video a thumbs up, and share. Thanks so much for watching, ladies. I'll see you in the next video. Until next time, I'm Cathy Bracken. Make today amazing and be well.